Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to reading Machiavelli's Discourses. Today we're looking at chapter 43 of the first book of Machiavelli's Discourses, continuing on our examination. We went, now it's a new theme, 43 right here says, those who engage in combat for their own glory are good and faithful soldiers. So therefore the question here is the question of those who want glory, those who go for glory and do this, right? So those who seek glory, the question of those who engage in combat for their own glory are good and faithful soldiers. So let's go look at this. This is one paragraph, a long paragraph. This is slightly longer than the last one, so we had two short ones, but this is continuing here. One also considers, from the treatment written above, how much difference there is between an army that is content and engages in combat for its own glory, and the one that's ill-disposed and engages in combat for the ambition of somebody else. In other words, there's a difference. In other words, an army that is content, that engages in for its glory, versus one that is ill-disposed and engages for the ambitions of someone else. There's a big difference. For whereas under the consuls, Roman armies were always accustomed to be victorious, under the Decemvirs, they're always lost. Okay. Again, this is bringing us the question of Decemvirs. Why? Every time the Decemvirs they lost, why? They were done for the glory of the general, not caring about the reason for their is doing. In other words, therefore their motivation, their morale is tied to this question. Again, here, Livy book 3, section 40, right? So let's continue. From this example, so therefore the example of the Decemvirs, right? When the Romans were the consuls, they were victorious, and when the Decemvirs, they defeated. From this example, one can know, in part, the causes for the uselessness of mercenary soldiers, which do not have cause to hold them firm, other than the little stipend you give them. So again, he repeats the in the discussion of the question of those who fight for their own reasons, soldiers who are fighting for their own reasons versus soldiers who do it for the sake of others. And here he brings up the mercenaries. Mercenaries don't have any reason to fight and be on your cause except for the little stipend which you gave them. That cause is not and cannot be enough to make them faithful, and so much your friends that they wish to die for you. Now here he repeats his Prince, chapter 12, right, in the Art of War, chapter 1. Again, this is his basic criticism of mercenaries. Mercenaries are not going to die for you. Soldiers in other words, you need soldiers who are going to die for you. People who are going to die for you. Who are they going to die for you for? They're going to die for their friends, and for their patria, their country, and their fatherland, or their motherland, right? Or they'll die for the leaders who they believe the leaders are good, who are caring for them in that sense. The consuls are the rightful authorities. They may not be perfect, but there are authorities. Whereas under the Decemvirs, who are abusive and doing like this, and they're not a bad leader in that sense. So this is the morale question, but also the stipend. The question of the mercenary is the question of the loyalty, tied to the question of you doing it for money or doing it for the. You're not going to do this. Not going to die for you. And this is the question of how do you get people, and you need who's going to do your groundwork? Who's going to do the dirty work? If you're going to, you need to remember from the prince. He said, always a good prince must always rely on his own arms, right? Not to rely on the arms of others. To rely on the arms of others is to rely on fortune. Here, what happens here? He comes here that okay, the question here for soldiers who are going to die for them, who are going to go fight for their own glory, for the glory of their country, versus doing it for the ambition of others. No, it's not going to work. He says you cannot make, and this is akin to the question of the mercenary soldier. That because the mercenary soldier he's being paid. No one's going to die for pay. And that's so much your friends, they're not going to be faithful to you as friends because they're doing it for the money, and that they wish to die for you. For in those armies in which there is no affection towards him, for whom they engage in combat, that makes them become his partisans. There can never be enough virtue to resist an enemy who is a little virtuous. In other words, in the armies, the problem here is armies who they look at this person and they have no desire. They look, this person doesn't care for us. It's his ambition, his war. In other words, they have no affection towards him. They have no love of him. They have no care of who leads them in that sense, or for the country. They don't have. They look at. I'm not. This is not my fatherland. This is not my people. Why am I fighting this war? I don't understand why am I fighting this war. What happens? There can never be enough virtue to resist an enemy who has even a little virtue. So that once there is the doubt of I don't believe, the soldiers no longer believe. The soldiers no longer believe, and they look at the person ruling. The reason why they're going to war is not for themselves and not for the glory of their country in that sense, or for glory for their fatherland or their country, but rather for the glory of some leader who doesn't. They have no concern for or no care for, or I really have no. I don't love my country. I don't like it's like what's happening in England. They asked these kids. Keir Starmer wants to say they're going to raise an army to protect the. There's going to maybe be a peace contingent of sending British troops into Ukraine. Well, who? The Muslim kids and the immigrants who come there? And why should the British soldier do it? The native born Brit who's Englishman. Why should they fight for this regime and fight for something that they're understand that if you're going to send people to die for you, they're going to only willingly die for you if they have affection towards you, love for you in that sense, right? He says. So therefore, and if you don't have the love for those who you're going to die for, then what's going to happen? You're not going to fight well. You're not going to fight well. Therefore, you're not going to have the virtue. There's never going to be enough virtue among your ability to defeat the one who has any little virtuous, right? In other words, engage in combat that makes them become his partisans, his supporters, his things. There can never be enough virtue to resist an enemy who's a little virtuous. Because neither this love nor this rivalry arises except from your subjects. This love and this rivalry arises except from your subjects. It is necessary to arm one's subjects for oneself if one wishes to hold a state. If one wishes to maintain a republic or a kingdom, as one sees those who have done it, as one sees those have done, who have made a great profit of armies. Now, you're going to maintain a great republic or thing, and you're going to need what? You have to arm your subjects. Okay. The French never armed during the Middle Ages. The French kings distrusted their subjects. Their nobles they trusted, but their yeomanry and these people, they did not arm them. Therefore the French did not engage in long-range archers. They engaged in crossbows. Whereas the English, trusted their yeomanry and their urban classes, and that they trained them in archery and had them train in archery. So therefore the English archers gave the advantage to the English for hundreds of years in the 100-Year War, until the rise of gunpowder changed everything, right? So, in other words, if you have armies, you need to have this question of successful people. If you're going to use armies to achieve greatness, then you need to have them love you, have affection for that. Therefore, neither this love nor this rivalry arises except from your subjects. And it's necessary to arm one's subjects for oneself if you're going to hold a state, particularly if one wishes to maintain a republic or a kingdom, as one's seen those with army, right? The Roman armies under the 10 had the same virtue, but because there was not the same disposition, they did not have the customary effects. In other words, they didn't have the disposition towards the rulers, the situation. They didn't trust them. They felt suspicious, and therefore they were not effective. But as soon as the magistracy of the 10 was eliminated, and they began to serve in the military as free persons, the same spirit returned to them, and the consequence, their enterprise, had the same happy end as their former customs. Again, this returns to Livy, book 3, chapter 60, line 63 to 63, then 69 to 70, right? After the December, they returned to their former habits of a free soldiery caring for that things. So we're going to stop here. We're at the end of this. We're done for the day. If you have any comments or questions, please put it below, and when I see them, I'll respond to them. If you've liked it, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Like it. If you liked it, also share it. Share it on your social media. Share it far and wide. If you've not subscribed, please encourage others to subscribe. Encourage your friends to come check out the site and check out the other videos we had. Encourage them to subscribe. Again, all these things: commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, all, in fact, even, helps the algorithm. Now, if you didn't like it, you can always thumbs down it, but say why in the comments. This way people can learn the benefit from this, because this is why we're doing this. We're trying to do it to kind of, help people to access and understand these texts. Another thing is that if you want to follow me on social media, the social media links are below. If you want to know more about me as a researcher and as an academic and check out my scholarship and things like that, you can do so through the academic social media links below, the social media links. And if you want to help me to do what I do, you can do so through Patreon or Subscribe Star, listed below to them. Or you can buy one of my books that are available. You can do it through your local bookstore. But always want to help your local. Always support your local stores. But but maybe if they won't order it or don't like doing such things, special orders, then you can order it through an online distributor like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Book Depository, and something like that. Or you can order it directly through the publisher. Well, that's it. We'll turn to our next chapter. Next time we meet, we'll chapter 44. So take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.